This month, we talked about direction, about what happens when growth isn't defined on your own terms, about the noise that fills the gap when clarity is missing, and about the questions that keep you circling instead of moving forward. And if any of that landed, if something in these videos made you pause and think, I want to take a moment before we move on. Because before you plan that next quarter or set that next goal, before you take that next piece of advice from someone whose path isn't yours, there's one thing I still want you to know. Everything we talked about this month comes back to one idea. When growth is defined on your own terms, everything else starts to align. Not perfectly, not immediately, but that to-do list starts pulling you in other directions. The comparison with others starts to lose its grip. And those reactive questions that spin in our minds start to have these answers. It's not a planning question. It's not a strategy question. It's a question of direction. And direction, once you have it, changes how everything else feels. Decisions feel simpler, and the energy is going in the right direction. I want to share something honestly with you. This is a question that I come back to myself very regularly. Not because I've figured it out, once and then it stays fixed, but because growth changes, life changes, what matters changes. And when I stop asking myself it, then I get pulled back into the noise, that comparison, and the pressure of what somebody else is actually doing. I can feel it. Everything gets that heavier. Decisions take longer, and the work starts to feel a little less like mine. That's the signal. And the signal every time points back to the same place. Get clear on what growth means to you right now, not last year, not next year, right now. Because that clarity, even that rough, imperfect version of it, keeps everything else in place. Next month, we're going deeper. We're going to look at your story, not the story you tell in the pitch or your bio, the story that runs through your business, the one that connects what you do to why you do it and who you're doing it for. Because here's what I've seen again and again. When that story isn't clear, when you stay on one line, what you do, who you're doing it for, and what changes because of it, when that's not clear, growth starts to feel heavy. And when it is clear, it starts to feel lighter. Your team makes better decisions, and you stop having to explain yourself in every conversation. That's what June's about, getting your story straight. And it starts with one question. One that you've already been answering this month is, what does growth mean to you? Because your story and your growth are the same thing. When one is aligned to the other, it feels simpler. But before I go, one thing. If this month has felt like the beginning of something, if something's landed that you want to go deeper with, try the free 8-day experience. It's built exactly for that moment, and it walks you through defining growth, getting your story straight, and building that clarity that makes everything so much simpler. Not in theory, but in practice. Your business is the case study throughout this 30-minute a day, 8-day experience that will begin to change everything. I hope to see you on your journey. Thanks for listening.